wasn't known before the draft. The Fever had no roster what's available. They don't have the cap space. Everybody knew everyone was competing for one player, for one spot.
And especially in moments like this in the tournament, they're going to play as hard as they can, try as hard as they can to make every shot that they throw up. So
Staley was frank about how her team performed in her press conference, where she stated, "I hope they're crying because crying makes you work harder."
She's not a good player. That's what insiders are saying about Bree Hall after the Fever waived her this week, completely contradicting Dawn Staley, who called her an elite defender. The disconnect between what Staley promised and what WNBA teams are seeing is shocking everyone in women's basketball, as South Carolina players were supposed to be NBA ready under Staley's program, but now teams are discovering the truth. The Fever didn't just quietly release Hall, they made room for other players they believe will actually contribute. This might be the moment everyone starts questioning if Staley's player evaluations can be trusted at all. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. You know what's crazy? Just months ago, Dawn Staley was telling everyone Bree Hall was an elite defender who'd dominate in the WNBA. Now she's without a team. How did things go so wrong so fast?
Staley was frank about how her team performed in her press conference, where she stated, "I hope they're crying because crying makes you work harder."
Wait a minute. Let me just blow this up a sec. 2:47 left in the third quarter. And you're a professional coach.
Hall's journey looked so promising at South Carolina. She helped win 2 national championships and became one of Staley's most trusted players. Staley constantly praised her defensive skills, her leadership, and her ability to make big plays in crucial moments. Hall seemed destined for WNBA success, with Staley's stamp of approval backing her up. But the moment Hall stepped onto a WNBA court with the Fever, everything changed. The disconnect between Staley's praise and reality hit like a truck.
And you're wondering, why are they getting rid of Bree Hall now and not letting her play another preseason game? Because if you waive Bree Hall today, the Phoenix Mercury can pick her up.
Many people can do the things that we do as student athletes, and it's really hard, really difficult. But I'm super proud, and I'm just very happy with myself.
Her shooting numbers in preseason were rough. She connected on less than 25% of her attempts. And that elite defense Staley promised? It didn't show up. WNBA guards were blowing past her, and she struggled to navigate screens at the pro level. The Fever gave Hall multiple chances. She played in several preseason games, but the numbers tell the story. She averaged just 3 points, barely any rebounds, and her defensive rating was near the bottom of the team. Against real WNBA competition, she looked completely out of her element. What's shocking is how fast they cut her. Most rookies from championship programs get at least half a season to adjust and prove themselves. The Fever didn't even give her until the regular season. That's how convinced they were that what they saw wasn't going to improve. Now, insiders are asking tough questions about South Carolina's system. One anonymous WNBA coach told reporters, "The way they play masks certain weaknesses that become obvious at our level. Hall just wasn't ready for this level of play." The timing is terrible for Staley. Right when she's being celebrated as maybe the greatest women's college coach ever, her judgment about her own players is getting questioned. Makes you wonder if she sees them through rose-colored glasses.
And I take a lot of pride in to say, I'm not trying to block nobody's shot. I'm not trying to have the biggest block. I'm not trying to have the greatest steal. I'm just trying to make whoever I'm guarding as inefficient as possible.
We're looking at a Bree Hall who's no longer on the Fever team. And I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Another Dawn Staley guard getting cut again. She's going to get picked up straight away.
South Carolina fans are at war on social media. Half of them are blaming the Fever for not giving Hall enough time, while others admit they saw limitations in her game that Staley never addressed publicly. The hard truth? The Fever needed roster spots for players who could help them win now. Hall's performance simply didn't justify keeping her over others who showed more immediate potential. Is this just about one player who wasn't ready? Or is this the start of people questioning everything Staley says about her players' pro potential? That's the conversation nobody wanted to have until now. Here's something nobody's talking about. Is Dawn Staley's massive influence actually hurting her players once they reach the WNBA?
Somebody else said the league is catching up to her. She can't keep up. Yeah, she just can't she can't adapt to this day of age of basketball.
Zero adjustments and pouting on national television. Dawn Staley is dropping more F-bombs than her team is dropping threes. I mean, honestly.
Hall's situation might be proof of a bigger problem. Staley built South Carolina into a basketball powerhouse. She created this pipeline sending players straight to the WNBA. When Staley talks about a player, draft rooms listen. Her word carries serious weight. Teams get excited when she hypes up her players. But that's the problem right there. The hype machine creates impossible expectations. Hall wasn't just expected to make the team. She was supposed to be this immediate defensive stopper because Staley called her an elite defender. That label followed her everywhere. Think about the pressure on South Carolina players compared to other schools. They step into the WNBA with everyone expecting greatness on day one. Why? Because Coach Staley said they're ready. That's a lot to handle for any rookie.
The biggest thing that we've probably learned so far is that no team is going to take us lightly. I've said it all year, like the target is very big on our back, and every team's going to bring their best game.
Bree Hall will be on this team. Bree Hall will be on the Fever team, fighting it out, battling it out with Lexi Hull for that spot. Is it Lexi's to lose, of course, but she'll be battling it out with Lexi Hull for that spot.
If you actually look at how South Carolina players perform in the WNBA, the results are all over the place. Some stars, some busts, some just average. They dominated in college, but the pro transition seems harder than Staley lets on. What's really interesting is how WNBA teams are starting to make their own decisions. The Fever clearly didn't buy into the elite defender talk when making their roster cuts. They trusted what they saw, not what they heard. Check Hall's Instagram and Twitter. Her comments are flooded with supportive messages, but there are also these brutal comments saying she was overrated from the start just because she played for South Carolina. That's gotta hurt. WNBA coaches are talking behind closed doors. They're saying Staley's system works perfectly for college, but doesn't prepare players for the pro game's spacing, pace, and physical play. One coach even mentioned the transition is steeper than Staley acknowledges. Hall getting cut isn't just about one player who didn't make it. It's the first major crack in this idea that South Carolina players are automatically WNBA ready just because Staley says so. Teams are starting to question the hype. This reality check is brutal but necessary. Hall now has to rebuild her career without Staley's reputation protecting her. And honestly, that might make her a better pro in the long run. She'll need to evolve her game based on real WNBA feedback instead of college success.
I'm trying not to think about it. I think I've said like a couple comments like, oh my God, guys, like this is the last, and they'll be like, breezy. Like, no, let's not talk about this right now. Like, no. And I agree, because I'd rather not talk about it.
Where I'm talking about how I would prefer if the Fever kept Bree Hall instead of Bree Turner, depending on Michaela Timpson.
The Staley stamp of approval still matters, but after Hall's release, it comes with a new question mark. Can her players really deliver on everything she promises? What Hall just went through isn't just her story. It's like a warning for every college player with big dreams. 1 minute you're an elite defender with championship rings. The next you're looking for a job. That's the WNBA, brutal and honest. But getting cut can be the best thing for some players. It forces them to see the truth about their game. Many of the greatest WNBA players bounced around teams before finding their spot. The real takeaway isn't about Hall or even Staley. It's simple. Your career isn't defined by your coach's promises or your draft spot. It's about how you react when reality hits you in the face.